Hey, it's
Hey,
affiliation
yo.
slash no cool points podcast coming to you live, episode number 3. We're supposed to have a guest today, Conrad Gibson, aka Con Rizzle, aka what was his name before Con Rizzle? Con artist. It was Con artist, right?
Con artist. Yeah, it's con artist. Yeah, it
Yeah,
sure was on the
it
SoundClick
was.
days. The SoundClick
Yep.
days.
Pop the trunk. There's a crazy story about Pop the Trunk. How many times that beat has been resold, repoed, and redriven, as Jay-Z would say. That's fire. I'm gonna start using that phrase more: repoed, resold, and redriven. Yeah,
There you go.
but we could talk
Shout
about
out
that.
Con Rizzle, though.
That's back in the days when beats were exchanged via email, just 2 tracks, right?
Right, just an MP3. Just an MP3
MP3s.
WAV file.
Yep. And the next thing you know, you're on the next Dipset mixtape and didn't even know. And they be giving credit to guys like Tracks a Million or whoever, like random. They were, oh damn, my bad. We didn't know you
Well,
produced that.
that, and you know who was really messy during those times, but was necessary when it came to like the beats? Sycamore, bro. Sycamore used to drop them instrumental mixtapes. Uh, you know, possibly credit the wrong producer for that particular beat.
It's happened.
But you know, I realize now it was such a necessary thing to do.
That's why they started tagging their beats, the producers.
Yeah, you had to.
Yeah,
You had to because it was just so many beats floating around at one time. Though I mean, I remember Ski Beats, something like that happened to Ski Beats too back in the day. Somebody got another credit for a beat that he made.
Bro.
It's like,
it's wild. When I was up at Def Jam, we used to get those beat tapes and CDs and stuff and tagged. I'm talking like I have shit from Scram Jones. I got 5 CDs worth of Boy Wonder beats that are all like can work today. You know what I'm saying? Like I know he's a Fruity Loops guy. I'm pretty sure he's graduated to bigger and better equipment, but that stuff still rocks today. Whatever. I don't even know, man. But there's a lot of music that was made back then in the early 2000s that is just timeless, like mixtape stuff and all that. But it's a whole other episode. We can't get into
for sure. But
I
got some beats from your boy too, sitting on my hard drive. Boy Wonder.
Oh yeah, for sure. I got more if you need them. Shout out to Boy Wonder.
Shout out Boy Wonder.
Yeah. But we'll actually when we talk to Con Rizzle, we'll chop it up more about that. I haven't spoken to him in it has to be since like 2007 or 8. Like,
wow.
There was and then we'll talk about it on the episode if he's open to doing that. But yeah, there was the conflict of interest when it came to just and it all had to do with management and stuff. And then, like I said, his management particularly, and yeah. So. When we get to that point, we'll talk about it. But I think it's a cool bit of underground music history that
lore.
Yeah, it's lore. It's like, and it all ties back to Drake too, in a sense.
All roads lead back to Drake.
Yeah, 6 degrees, like the Kevin Bacon of hip hop. So let's go. Now, so Mike, thank you for sending over the list of topics for this week. A lot to cover when it comes to AI and the new way that they're, or at least Sono is doing what they do. Is streaming broken? The big AI fraud indicating raises serious questions. So this is on Billboard. This has been floating around for a minute. This is back from 2024. Sorry. So he said it's a little dated, this article, but we'll talk about it in a more current state. So there was no regulation, or is no regulation around the usage of the AI music, right? So people were putting up slot pages of music. I found a couple. This is Country Group that literally gets millions of streams a month. That's all AI, and they sell merch and all this crap. Yeah. So people rode that wave. I don't know if they're cleaning it up or not, but there's a big debate on like, is AI music legit music? And obviously that AI artist just got signed to a deal and went #1 or something like that. I didn't even like this. The big question to me is Billboard a serious thing anymore? Does it matter? Let's start there, because I have my opinion, but I want to hear yours.
Uh, I I don't think it does. I mean, here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. At this point, the music industry is less about the creativity, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
people are seeing a lick. It's almost like every other crime on top of a big industry, fraud, embezzlement, et cetera, et cetera. It's now being overly exposed because of the lack of regulation, especially with AI. So of course you have a guy that's sitting behind a computer saying, if I, it doesn't matter what people think if I can make the money because I can make the product, right? So it doesn't matter if somebody thinks that your AI artist can sing or is a real artist if you didn't write the lyrics or didn't type it into Chat GPT or didn't get the prompt or whatever. It's a lick, and I ain't mad at people overexposing a lick
Mm-hmm.
because I am far beyond the age of like when it mattered to be authentic. I understand that when you see an opening in the situation that can be fruitful to you and others, you take it, even if you can't sleep at night. But I don't think guys are even caring about the effect that it has on real artists or labels or producers or engineers or the entire infrastructure that's fed when music is created, right? Like music is created and it feeds like 15 people.
Mm-hmm.
This person that creates an AI record or AI artist or whatever and actually finds success in that, they are those 15 people just using the advantage of AI to do it. I don't necessarily see anything wrong from a business standpoint, but just from a creative standpoint. But creatives are broke, so I mean, it doesn't really matter what a creative thinks. I'm sorry to say that. So
Yeah,
they don't have
yeah,
the capitalist mindset it takes to survive in this anyway. This is the reason why they signed the labels anyway.
yeah, and that's. I mean, they do in a sense because they think it's an escape from their reality. Because a lot of artists are starving, quote unquote, right? That's a bit of a cliche term, but even we've seen it where we've dealt with artists that have big pockets that aren't on, and it doesn't work out that well. So the machine. This is why I always say the machine is necessary. And I remember when I was yelling at you and Mike earlier, like every week. Why is like I understand trying to help or working with the little guy to get a project done or whatever. I'm very critical of the, like that guy LaRussell, right? When him selling to a bunch of the homies, dude, I never heard this guy's music before. I don't give a fuck. Like this, I know there's tons of big artists that are not necessarily above the ground, right? That are all like quote unquote underground and have their own followings, but that doesn't mean to me that they deserve to be mainstreamed when mainstreamed is definitely a machine because all of those things, as you can see, even with the mass media, when it comes to reporting news, even right, distributing movies, all of that, you work with these specific entities that get you the exposure on the larger platforms, whether it be the social media platforms, the distribution platforms like streaming. It's all streaming, music, movies, television. Major networks, they're still part of the conglomerate, meaning that there is still reach there because there are still people that have cable. There are still people that use antennas to get their
Yeah,
TV
right.
and stuff. So I'm always going to be a proponent of, hey, work with the system to get what you want, and look at the examples that we've seen over time: Rockefeller Records, Cash Money, and in more modern times, like just getting the right distribution deal, the PG Lang, the TDE in more modern
Mm-hmm.
times where they get favorable deals that benefit both sides, right? Um, Even Kanye, like that. Like an artist, if you're big enough, that's what you can do if you don't sign a stupid contract. But the streaming stuff, when it comes to AI, going back to our original conversation,
Yeah, right, right.
um, now the playing field is full of stuff. I'm not going to call it crap because you have to have some sense of creativity to build an AI artist that that is appealing, right? And not dabbling in the space much. I know we have some things bubbling up where we can try and infiltrate, but um it's a new landscape, and I feel like it's gonna be a competition that's going to make streaming less popular. And when I say what I mean from less popular, I mean that what LaRussell did. is essentially going to be the blueprint that major labels are going to take to distribute more music in different ways, and they're kind of already doing it. Like, why Taylor Swift just dropped an album, right? They put out like 9 different vinyls. They put out 15 different versions. They put out CDs, tapes, fucking 8 tracks, everything. Just to fucking no, I'm saying to make a buck, right? So the fans are gonna buy it. Now Taylor Swift is huge. He has a huge footprint in the industry, and her stuff, just because kids want it or fans want it, will sell for top dollar. So she can charge, vinyl for all that stuff. Making vinyl, CDs, and tapes, if it's made to order or pre-order, the turnaround time to press all that shit isn't like what it used to be. You could literally get vinyl CDs on demand now because it's a much faster process. So, right. And you're making small batches. We're talking maybe less than 100,000 units. Let's just say in her case, 200,000-300,000 units, right? All collectively. So you're making pretty much small batches of each thing to cater to a fan base, but it's highly profitable because it's how long will it take to get the equivalent in streaming revenue to when you could just rake it in right off of that, right? Exactly. So they're understanding, and the smaller artists like LaRussell, who has a following, or in that time back in the day, Nipsey Hussle, back in the day, like 2009, 10 or whatever, 11, whenever he dropped that album. Taking a blueprint where it's like, yeah, I got a following, I got some big people, and they could coordinate these things. Hey, Kyrie Irving, buy my album for $11,000. Okay. Like, if I asked you guys, we were all billionaires and millionaires, and I was like, yo, man, I'm just doing this thing. Can you do, slide me 10 racks and buy my movie, whatever. It's all for show. It's all part of the marketing. More than likely, he probably gave that money back to Kyrie in some way, shape, or form. Like, it doesn't, dog. Nobody's exactly, yeah. But like, if you truly like, this is what was genius about what Nipsey Hussle did, because I think he said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna drop it my way," right? I don't know what is that album that he sold for. What was it? How much was it? $1,000 a tape? Was that? Well, I don't even remember. How much was it? $100? It was $100.
$100. Yeah, I think it was $100 each
download or whatever. Yeah, but oh my god, I could hear everything.
You're proud to pay.
Typing.
Proudtopay.com. I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crenshaw. 2013.
2013. And then his most successful album was the one that came out right. What was it? Victory Lap or whatever. What was that? So, I think he made way more of a Victory Lap. I can almost assume that's true. But that was a good marketing piece that helped him get to the next level. And I don't know, is Crenshaw on streaming now?
I don't know.
Let me see.
Do I dare type?
Don't type anything. I'm looking it up. Hey, your shit is all fucked up. Yeah.
Do I dare type?
And show album. Let me see. I'm looking it up now. It's out there. It looks like Crenshaw mixtape. Yeah, I'm gonna put this on the screen so you can see, and just so we can have some context. And I think that we have to be real objective about what people do, because these things are marketing tools. They don't add value to your product, because look at the product now. And
well, I mean, granted,
690. This is one of the original, and next on the CD, original, proud to pay, limited, rare. That's not any more limited than this one, because the music is what matters in this case. Like, the collective, were these signed or anything like that? Like,
I don't know. I can't remember, man. It feels like a whole nother lifetime that shit was a thing. So I don't know.
I'm pulling up the eBay listing. Somebody selling it on eBay. It has to be something. Yeah, but it has to be something special about it. If he was just selling these CDs with no signature, no limited edition or whatever, it doesn't
seem like it's signed to me.
It's still sealed. Like, how do you know this is the OG? Like, Oh yeah, Too Proud to Pay. Okay, yeah, I guess it was labeled Too Proud to Pay. I guess edition.
Yeah, because I think it was only a set number that were being sold.
Okay, so there was limited run. This is
Yeah, I
the
think it was a
vinyl.
thousand
Oh, here we go.
at $100, if I can remember correctly.
$1,000 and
So it's
$100.
probably
And Jay-Z bought all
that's
of them,
why.
right?
Yo, I don't know, bro, but listen, I wouldn't be surprised.
This is the one without the Too Proud to Pay on it. I see no difference in the two besides that little label that says,
Maybe that's how we know the proud to pay symbol is what
yeah.
we know as a part of the original 1,000 batch, and then everything else after that were just manufactured in
Yeah.
normal distributed CDs.
Yeah.
Interesting. I mean, again, you're right. That's like a marketing tactic, right? Like to build the buzz, make a little bit of bread on the way, because I assume he sold all 1,000 of those records at $100,000,
Yeah.
right?
I remember the start. Jay-Z bought all of them. He did. That's what they say. He just bought all of them. And somebody, they like he bought a large amount. I guess some people have them here they could sell them, but like I see value in this as a marketing tool. That's about it. Other than that, it doesn't. It does help you get that little they just did something, blah blah blah. It doesn't make me want to hear LaRussell's music anymore. I still don't give a fuck about his music. I'm sorry to say that, LaRussell. I don't know you. I'm sorry, but it's just.
I mean,
what how do you get me that now? Do you like how do you get me to listen to music?
that's what I'm saying. I don't think it's for us. See, I think his audience, his demographic, is trying to reprogram the younger generation and give them something to actually hold. Because his target, I think, is 18, 19, 20. He does college events, he does frat parties, sorority parties. He's trying to, we're already too deep. I'm almost 40. His target demographic, even for the music or this marketing play, really isn't for me as a consumer. But I do champion it as a guy that's been in the industry. And I do respect a guy that's not going to let the industry dictate how he's going to move his product, right? Like, so I respect that, and I support that. I supported the album. I put up $10 for the album. I haven't listened to it yet, but I do support the mission. He's from the Bay.
So it's a GoFundMe, basically. Like, if he's just begging for money, just here. I'll give you some money. Yeah, I don't know. Like, see, this is what kills me. You're not even a fan, or like maybe you're a support. Do you know him personally?
I don't know him personally, no, but I am a supporter of the infrastructure of the people he's doing business with, Even Biz. I'm a supporter of Even Biz. Chaz has an Even Biz. Many people that I've worked with have gone Even Biz. So I support the mission of, if the people are going to pay for something, give them something real. Don't allow the people to pay $15 a month for something they cannot tangibly have. So I respect that fact of giving them something. Like back in the day, we used to own a DVD. That was mine when I paid $29. It was mine. I could do anything I want with it.
Yeah, but I wanted that DVD. It's not like I was doing this. What I think people forget and lose sight of is that there's so many ways to get money outside of music or producing music. This to me is just a highly priced GoFundMe opportunity. Because look, like the fact that you bought it just because you're supporting the system that he's present. Like, okay, cool. Oh, you're saying, I'll help pay for your mama's surgery or for you to get a new car, or that's what you're really doing here, because no, I'm serious. I don't, no disrespect to LaRussell, but like the proving ground now, streaming is all bullshit. There's bots, there's blah, 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 right? Now, 5 years ago, maybe even 10 years ago, people would invest in bots to help, or still today, obviously, but back in the day, the French Montanas, who Diddy even did it. All the artists did it, or labels did it, where once streaming became a thing, let's get a bunch of bots and juice up the numbers. They do this with the physical copies. Back in my day, I used to work up at Def Jam. Album release day comes, I go into that office with New and them. Dog, there would be cases of CDs that they just given away because they just rebought them. They went down and cleaned out the Sam Goody down the street at fucking in Manhattan
FYE.
and gave it away.
Yeah, FYE,
whatever. They just bought every copy just so they can sound scan all the shit. And they like those stores just waited for the Def Jam Universal rep to come in with that black card of Kevin Lyles or whoever and pay for it all. And I seen it firsthand because I seen stacks of CDs. New used to be like, hey, how many you need? Just bring them home, whatever, and they'd all be from the record store. Sometimes he had to go run and get them himself when he was Lyle's assistant. So long story short, there's so many things that they do to juice the numbers, whether it's streaming, this, that, and the third. Independent artists don't have that luxury. I like the way that they do with this. It doesn't necessarily, and this is why going all the way back to what we were talking about, was Billboard relevant anymore? I don't think it matters. This is what matters. Like causing a moment in time where people, right, your fans at least will remember what you just did. Now, industry-wise, when you talk about the bigger artists, it kind of does matter just because it's a dick measuring contest, especially with guys like Kendrick and Drake and, Kid Cudi or whoever, and even Tekashi 6ix9ine. They're in, not even, I want to say Kid Cudi, no, Kanye, let's say Kanye, the old regime, like anything 2010 and backwards or older, these guys, they still think numbers matter, which they do. But they made more money. Like they're making more money in perpetuity off of the publishing and all that other shit than Nori is off of his catalog and all that stuff. So you got to off of streaming. So you got to think like the mindset is there just because it is what it's another thing another award, right? Another platinum record or whatever. Yeah. Right. But LaRussell, he's causing moments that people are, oh shit, Kyrie Irving just paid $12,000 for your music that he's probably not going to listen to or whatever. So I'm just saying that because I'm a hater. But he's doing something that a lot of people in the industry, newer artists, need to do. And that is all goes back to like engagement and all the
correct.
All the other stuff that you need to get, that you need to get to become successful or relevant nowadays. And I'll give him his props for that. I have to listen to the music before I actually give him some kind of respect or love for art. I mean, being an artist.
Again, as far as the music, he's from the Bay, so the Bay guys for me are hit or miss. I'm always going to be an I Am Sue fan.
Does he do that hyphy shit? Is he hyphy?
I mean, he's kind of, he's like he does a lot of features with the old school guys too. Like,
okay,
brings a lot of the old school guys into the new, whether it's a sample of their record or getting them on a hook or having them perform with them. Because I do believe he is, I don't know his age, but I do believe he is a student of the game. I will say that. And that's another reason why I support him. He's not, he is just a guy that saw an opportunity to do it, hand
He's 31. He's 31.
31. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
born in 94.
He could have a decision to join the streaming races, right? Just based off of his age. A lot of his other peers are probably in the streaming wars, right? But I think he realized that's a diminishing return. Why participate in something that is such a poor investment as far as time, money, resources, playlisting, all of this stuff, when I can actually spend that same money? I'm gonna have to spend it anyway to get in the game, right? To actually build a tangible product that I have no problem putting my face on. I don't have to sign a no label. I can get outside, work my feet, work my hands, work my phone, work my, you know what I mean? And that's just a refreshing feeling. Now, I mean, again, I don't know dude personally, but I support that because I'm, me, H, I kind of live between this anti-establishment, but for the establishment aspect. I have nightmares about it every single day of where I land, where I stand every day. But, you know, I am a fan of cats getting it on their own and not letting nobody else dictate how
I'm
it's
a fan of
supposed to
that
be.
too, but you got to think
Yeah.
that, and this is I think that's where we conflict. But you work for and in an industry like
Yeah.
it's kind of a catch-22. You want the little guy to win, but the only way the little guy wins in our circles is if we are the little guy that's building our own thing, and that's why
That's
I
true.
I stress platforming and all that of our own shit. And then I say, like, why the fuck do you put so much energy into these people that don't spend the real money with you when we already work with major label, when we already do all that stuff, and there's hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars that we could potentially be making off the majors, but you're stuck in
Right.
this mindset that the little guy matters more. Little guys, your money doesn't matter unless you are spending a lot of it on us as marketers. That I'm serious, and that's why I stopped. I'm not listening to working with little people or whatever little artists unless it's something that we're invested in directly. Are we getting a cut of that money if we market it? Plus, what are you putting up? Because resources are light nowadays. Major labels need help. Obviously, smaller artists need help, but the way that each one of them goes about getting it is different, right? Labels are now cutting more marketing people out and bringing in third parties that do a smorgasbord of things like
Right.
we can do. And doing it efficiently, doing it with a data driven approach, all that type of stuff, and have an understanding of old and new. Because as I talk, I've been having a few meetings with partners old and new, trying to figure out what they need as they refresh budgets, and a lot of them are saying we don't know what we need, we just need somebody to do it all. And
Right.
what does that mean? Like, we don't know
Right.
what we need, but they have to do it all. And what is all? Like, no, nobody wants to do influence anymore. Everybody I've talked to said, fuck these influencers, they charge you too much, and it's not, I'm not going to spend money on Kylie Jenner and Addison Rae just to do 6-second videos for 50 grand that don't even boost streams anymore, right?
Right.
Like, look, the Kendrick and Drake beef, I always harken back to that, changed the way music is going to be marketed moving forward, because they took the whole system and flipped it. They said, hey,
Absolutely.
influencers, rather than like they caused such a stir that where you would pay influencers to promote your song, now they're like, shit, no, influencer, you make content using my song and I'll let you monetize it, right?
Right.
That's the way you're going to make the money now. Then the paid influencers became clippers, people who just take shit
Yep.
where you making moments, them clipping it up, and they're getting paid on a CPM now. And then regular influencers that used to just, hey, I'm going to review your song, I'm going to charge you $2,000. Their following went from, they got big followings, but how many views are they getting now? Like,
The reach is
the
done.
reach is
Yeah.
done. Yeah, the algorithms changed. Now they're not pushing the same people in front of you. They're pushing different stuff. So we evolve with the systems. We're more, we build community around artists, large and small. But like I said, our community, our small thing is us. We have to build our community, then reach out to the little people and then rape them like the record labels do for their wealth. No, I'm just kidding. We don't do that. You never know. But no, I would want to break bread in a special way with newer artists to get them into the game and work as a intermediate, whether it's through some type of publishing, production, deals where we work things like like it all depends on like how good the talent is. But like now I have LaRussell's like I got curious and look, he's been doing this since 2018. He's on that Chance the Rapper like
Yeah.
path. He doesn't have the big industry cosigns, obviously. Looks like he hasn't, he's worked with a few big artists, but nothing crazy. But like, I think that he's definitely carved out a lane as an influencer, as a musician, and as a product. So
As a brand. And
yeah, as a
that's
brand,
the
yeah,
importancy. That's
yeah.
what I think is true. I think the music is the Trojan horse offer. I think that's the offer to build the community around him. But I do think the end goal, if it's not already, it needs to be just being a brandable, just a big brand as itself, right? So you can channel those marketing dollars through your establishment into the audience you've cultivated using the music as a Trojan horse. This is the only way to win. If they're not going to, as far as the little guy, right? Little guy meaning unsigned, right? Because
Mhm.
I work with a lot of guys that are established to a certain degree, and then there's some obviously some smaller guys that are completely unestablished and need complete setup, start to finish. But the guys in the middle that have these audiences, they just do not know how to monetize them properly. They keep thinking that music is the product. That's no longer the product.
Yeah.
Your ability as a brand to be useful to another brand is the product. The music is just the low ticket offer.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. And so I think that's now that I unpack it more, I think that's why I support LaRussell is that he understands the business mindset of a funnel when it comes to music. And I don't think anybody else has implemented that as well as he has
Mm-hmm.
from a strategy standpoint. Yeah, you have guys that'll go direct to consumer real quick, offer some type of outlandish bundle, right? Like direct to consumer bundle. But he has strategically built a community around his consumption that can then be offered as an audience outlet to another brand. That is where the money comes from,
Yeah.
So I want to see more of that because that is the superpower. Your story, your particular superpower is what you offer to the market individually, not the
Yep.
actual music, right? And
Yep.
people need to start building a brand around that, the personality of who they are. I think that's the reason why Sauce Walker is streaming,
Yep.
Polo G is
He's
streaming,
a
all these
Sauce
guys are
Walker,
streaming.
bro. Sauce Walker's I love his music, bro. He's not. He is he down with Griselda? Is he? No,
No, he's
he
not, but
dog. He
he's
fit.
getting
He
that
could be the
movie.
fourth, bro.
Yeah, he's getting that
Well,
movie.
I haven't listened to newer stuff, but the songs that I've curated on my own are, whew, man. I be riding that shit, boy. He just spitting.
Love Sauce Walker.
Love,
He's
love,
another one
love him.
that did it himself, built his whole brand, a sauce factory, bought a
Yep.
mall, strip
He does
mall.
content, pimping still,
Yeah,
doing all the good
content,
things. Yeah.
Airbnb, OnlyFans, but
Yep. Yep.
all the products, the weed pens, the vape pens, because he understood easily they wasn't gonna give him nothing.
Yeah.
They wasn't gonna let him in. He was beefing with Thug, beefing with Drake, beefing. They wasn't gonna let him in. So he said, "Okay, I'm the man where I'm from. Let me put some grassroots branding, double down, expand my team, whether it be the artists, the videographers, the producers, the studios, expand my brand, and then get knee deep in the grassroots and start building
So,
tangible things."
yep. And it's small. So this is what I was trying to. So I had a meeting yesterday. I'm gonna put my business out there,
Okay.
because Sean and I, we do a podcast,
Right.
and we've been trying to get another one off the ground recently. So we had a building session yesterday with our new co-host, and I kind of like went on and said like what type of podcast do you guys want to do? And then ideas got thrown around. Stuff like, oh, we should do what we talk about, like gossip, news of the day, shit like that. No, and then my main idea was to like talk, like make it more subject based. Like let's talk about retro culture, growing up in the '90s, early 2000s, and having that as a baseline for our whatchamacallit, our content, where we draw on an audience that's interested in that subject matter, right? And it's a good to me. It's like, okay, yeah, you're building and curating an audience that's interested in your stories, your personality, your what you have to offer, and you can't just simply base like everybody's looking. And this is what they kept throwing at me, and this is what I kept saying. Like, yes, social media is great. You get 1 million views on something, it's whatever, but you're working backwards in a sense, because when you chase viral moments, that's low hanging fruit that might get you pennies. But if you can capture an audience of, let's just say, 10,000 people, and if that 10,000 people is willing to give you $5 a month for a subscription, that's $50,000 a month, right?
Yeah.
Of Patreon, of whatever. now you're getting them plus their ad revenue from YouTube, from Instagram, from Spotify, from wherever the fuck you have your shit streaming, right? Or placed. And then you think about merch. You think about how diehard are these people to ride with us, me, whoever, and not be fans, but family, really, because you treat people as such, and then they support you. Now, if you're doing slop content, like the big thing, like we're about to talk, I don't know much about the Dame Dash Jimmy Jones thing, but that was like, oh, that's a subject we could talk about and it could be funny, blah blah blah. I get it, but they talked about that 2 weeks ago somewhere else, and it's a race to the bottom when everybody's talking about the same shit. Some people go viral, but that's all they got. Now, if you ever tune in to some of these people that do these little bits of gossip or whatever on like Instagram or TikTok, a lot of them don't make that much money. They're really tantalized by the couple $100 that they just made and think like, oh, if another one goes 1 million views or another one, you know what I mean? Like I could retire off of that. No, you got to build platforms.
It's not based on a real. It's not based on a real identity. It's just
not. Yeah.
Copy paste, hot topic.
Exactly. Or they tell weird story, to do whatever. There's people that do that. Now, mind you, there's people who are great storytellers that have YouTubes. Like that one guy who does a little, I forgot his name. He's an old school YouTuber, but he switched from doing like he used to do vlogging and stuff, and then he switched to just storytelling content. But this guy already had 8 million subscribers on YouTube, and his content's really good because it's well produced. He's a great auditor. He could talk. He gives the the audience something to look forward to every week. And he does these short stories that are animated using AI, and he narrates them, and they're funny. They're good stories of real life shit, and it's easy, and he's just making money and whatever. Not many people can do that because number one, you don't have building a following off of that is tough overall. But pivoting towards that is kind of easy, especially if your audience is already used to the way you talk, like, and content that you make and like you overall as a personality. Now, going back to what I was talking about with these guys, so me, Sean, and Daoud, our new partner, co-host, whatever. We got an argument. I stressed the fact that I want people to know who we are, not necessarily what we're talking about. If they came there to hear about Dame Dash and Jimmy Jones and what they're doing, that's not the point. And I kept getting pushback, like, oh, but that's interesting if we can make funny conversation, but that doesn't get them familiar with us. Yeah, we can make hot takes all fucking day, but that doesn't make it about who we are, our stories and whatever. That's why I was like, hey, maybe we could center the initial content around where we came from, that era, and make it relevant to something in modern times, or just inform people, right? And that seems to me. Now, mind you, I'm not the brightest guy, nor am I like the best at understanding what people actually want. But if you could build a fandom off of that, I don't see anything wrong with it. And secondly, we have so many opportunities now to try different things in the marketplace and do it cheaply. That's why I don't mind. Like we started we just talked about it and said, let's just talk our shit, tell our stories, give our opinions, do whatever, and have a well-rounded conversation. And 2 episodes in, it's resonating, bro. Like, and I don't know if you noticed, but like we've got a few more subscribers on the channel. We got decent of social media posts, even though there's only a few of them. This is only 2 episodes in, and it's not been consistent. Consistency, all that other shit is what we have to get better at, but also the audience is there. People want to hear what we're talking about. They want to hear about our personalities. I do that sneaker podcast. I do the politics thing. It's starting to resonate because people are starting to listen. It takes time. Might take a year, might take 6 months, but consistency is key. And I'm talking to artists right now, creatives.
Right.
Doesn't matter what the fuck you do. There's no marketing tool out there that can help you. No course or seminar or and I know my mentality on that has been like whatever, and I know sometimes some of that's like I look at it like religion. The Bible, the Quran, the Torah, whatever books you read are great guidelines for living a life or a good life in a sense, but how you leverage them for success is totally different in life, because look at how some people use the Bible now or any of these holy books. They're fundamentalists, like like Hamas or Israel or
Right.
these evangelist Christians in the U.S. using it for an agenda to change. But this isn't about politics or religion right now. But the way you take in that information, which by the way, people, any course or seminar that you sign up for that you pay for on a YouTube channel, you can ask ChatGPT for the same shit, and they will give it to you for free. Okay, so
Facts though.
yeah, people who sell that shit, it's that's their money making tool to hook people in. Yes, some of it's very helpful. Everybody needs help, but this information's out there. It's the internet. They curated it from somewhere, and the reason why they're making more money now is because they're selling it back to you. Like I said, you repackage information somebody else gave you, and sell it to the next person, and so on and so forth. I wouldn't say it's a pyramid scheme. It's more of an information scheme to get just the same information regurgitated out to you. And Tony Robbins, Graham Steffens, all these different people have made careers and millions of dollars off of this shit. So like, don't buy. And even music industry people selling that shit. That guy Demise doesn't sell shit. He gives away his game for free, and he's been in the game since. Demise, that old white guy, yeah, like
the 90s.
I fuck with him. He's a little bit kooky and shit, but I fuck with him because he talks just like you about empowering the artist. But he gives away the knowledge, and his social media platforms are popping, and he's making deals behind the scenes with some of these people, their business, their investors, their management, their whatever, to get these things going. And that's the way he makes his money, right? Through his influence. And that influence, that spitting game, is free. What we're doing here is spitting game. Now, we all have, you haven't gotten your hardware yet for some of the projects you worked on with us, but I got at least 6 or 7 platinum and gold records for marketing that are owed to me at some point if they ever want to give them to me. I love the fact that, we collectively have been part of great moments in music with some of the biggest labels on the planet, and working with these marketers at those labels, working with the executives and the artists at those labels, has been a great experience. And I love every moment of it, but I also see the reality that especially this year, since business is slowing down and all that type of stuff, that bro, we have to build our own platform. That's what this is, right? So artists out there, remember that. And really got off topic. But
no,
I don't know.
no,
What do you gotta say that? Yeah.
Everything you're saying is right, because I think what happens with the discussions with you and I is I always feel as though sometimes we're saying two different things, but we're not. Right? Like, you're saying the exact same thing I want for them, we have to do for ourselves. And I think for the first time ever, I'm starting to understand that right now in this conversation.
Ever? Okay.
I think at today it finally clicked for me. Like, you're right. I'm sitting here telling somebody else, "Hey, man, this is what you got to do. You got to do it like this. You got to do it for yourself. You got to, let your personality shine. You got to add the value. You got to blah blah." And then you say to me, "Hey, man, in order for us to properly be able to even educate, to even do anything for anyone else, those things they're saying for them, we also have to do for ourselves. We have to consider our platform, build it, be consistent, independently, right? Because even though we do deals with partners and majors and things like that, we're still independent. It's still just us. We just have a partner for that period of time or whatever it may be in it. And we leverage that, right, to create more moments for others. And then in turn, something goes platinum or gold or whatever, then we get a moment for ourselves, right? But ultimately, you're right. It comes down to doing the work internally, building the value internally, and finding, the people that align with your messaging. And I think that just goes for every entity on the internet now, no matter if you're a creator, a rapper, or a producer, a guy in woodworking, a guy that fixes cars, a guy that whatever. The value truly is in being yourself and being consistent and just having the messaging right, like who you're speaking to, why you're speaking to them, the what and why now, right? So I agree with you. Everything that you just said it pretty much outlines kind of what the blueprint needs to be moving forward until it changes again, right? But I think that this landscape is probably going to be stuck for a while, as you see in your recent meetings. We don't know what we need, but we need someone that does it all.
Yeah,
Right.
and that's something that's going to resonate throughout the next probably couple of years in music until they figure out what they're going to do with streaming and AI. I mean, we went through this. I've been through two eras of music where the shift from what was it? Three eras actually. From more than that. No, from vinyls and tape to CDs, right? Because they like CDs, but they don't know it's a market, it's too expensive, blah blah blah. And then that all of a sudden became the it thing because then everybody has a CD player in their car now and all this other shit. They were eating off of both ends for a while because they were like, oh, people need the tape for their car. They need the tape for their car. Yep, they needed that tape for the car and the CD for their hi-fi system at home. And then it's like all CDs, and now they're like, shit, we're making a shit ton of money. Costs us 50 cents, $1 to make this album, and we could sell it for what, $20, and then it repackaged and do deluxe versions and all that. And then the Apple iPod comes out. I remember back in back in the day. I remember Kevin Lyles used to run through iPods like crazy, and I got one somewhere in this house. So New had took one of them joints home, right? And it had what they would do was load up all the albums, bro. I got 112's a 112 album that never came out, a Foxy Brown album that never came out, a bunch of stuff like early versions, Sean, like some shit there was a whole bunch of albums that they just like pushed off or never put out. This is like 2003, 2004, and it was on this Kevin Lyles iPod, whatever, that we had brought home. I don't know where it is right now. It's somewhere maybe in this, or it might be in the garbage at this point, but that shit was crazy. Like just being able to scroll through this iPod and seeing all these crazy songs, like Foxy Brown featuring Sean Paul and this person and that person, like songs that never coming out, right? But that transition from buying music physically to buying MP3s was okay. Oh, it's only 99 cents. So you price it at a good price point. Like you're charging 99 cents for a tape or a CD single now. Because remember the CDs used to be in the plastic sleeve, and then they changed to the little cardboard sleeve, and they lowered the price. And they now it's download the MP3. We have these cool devices that you could like play the music on. This is 2003, 2004. By 2005, that became the standard. Everybody was playing music off some kind of like mini disc player or an MP3 player, and then it ties into memory cards on your phone. You could put an album on your phone. I remember, bro, I had a 16 megabyte card, like a SD card like this, the initial SD cards like this, right? 16 megabytes, bro. This is 128, but 16 megabytes, that's 128 gigs. And I was happy that I could put the new Joel Santana mixtape on there and play it while I'm running and outside.
Street Dreams on there.
Fabulous Street Dreams, all that shit, yeah. And then from there, there was always the piracy with the LimeWire and the Napster and all that, and that was always an issue, and they tried to shut that down, but they couldn't fight it. And then by 2007, 8, 9 or whatever, Spotify became a thing overseas in Europe. And when I was an early adopter of Spotify, I had, because one of my my tech but people in tech that is one of my mentors. Shout out to Human Radfar. I think he was an investor in Spotify. He put me on. And he's like, yeah, you could load your music up. They have a whole bunch of stuff streaming here already, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if they were doing licensing or it was all illegal at that point. I don't know. But it became really big, and then Spotify became a player, competing with Apple Music. And then Apple Music got its streaming platform. Well, they didn't have one then. They just buying music. And Spotify had a paid model. And then all of a sudden it became, iTunes, they got rid of that, and then it became Apple Music, right? Remember those days?
Right.
That's when around the time that they bought. So everything evolves, but now it's just like music is, a commodity. It's just out there. It's something that they have to put out there to help promote these public figures. Music is not as hard to produce as it used to be. The music video is now a 1 minute, 30-second Instagram video for the most part. Yeah. And all these artists have to keep up with the demand for a presence in the marketplace. so they, like that when
And
people see
multiple
you,
marketplaces now, though,
multiple.
and multiple. So you have to have the music for the Spotify, the Apple Music
Yeah.
marketplace, right? You have to have the short form content for the Instagram, the TikToks. You
Hmm.
have to have the long form music video or the vlog style video for the YouTube, right? And then you still have to do your radio interviews, which also doubles as video content for the short form. You still have to do your podcast interviews, right? Which also still doubles as an audio format for the Spotify.
Yep.
So it's and then now you have to do the streaming content, right? That still doubles as short form hot takes for the short form platform. So yeah. And then not to include, I mean, we can't forget, originally the artists somehow were just artists and now they became fashion icons, right? So now you somewhere along the lines in the 2000s, maybe in the late 90s, the grunginess of DMX and all those guys, it stopped and it started going into this high fashion role. And now these guys are getting brand deals with Louis V and Chrome Hearts and all this other stuff, right? So now you got to keep up in that lane too. So you got the fashion lane, the actual music creation lane, the music releasing lane, the short form lane, the long form lane, the vlog style lane.
Hmm.
It's just, and they're all like worth so small, but they're worth a lot put together. So that's
Yeah.
why you got to work your left wrist, your right wrist, your left foot, your right foot. You got to work it all. Because back in the day, they used to drop one album, and that one album could feed the masses.
For
The whole
months,
family,
year, like 2 years,
and the whole
sometimes
your
you
whole
run,
team.
and then you're thinking your press runs back then would be consistent around singles and
Mhm.
tour dates. So when you're in every city that you go to, you'd stop by and promote your single. As your
Right.
concert runs through there, you'd probably do multiple shows in multiple cities and do all types of stuff where you're making money, and also out and about. And it's actually harder because now, bro, these people live stream the concert on Amazon if you're big enough, right? Kendrick doesn't have to do. He could do a stadium tour. Oh, actually, this is a funny debate about that: the stadium tour versus the arena tour.
The arena tour isn't
Kendrick
one like
people, man, look. I don't look. Let me put it to you this way, because they were comparing Drake's like his arena tours versus his Kendrick's stadium tours. Kendrick only did multiple shows in two different arenas, in L.A. and Toronto. The sources of where this beef came from. Toronto, I think Toronto is one of those places where, yes, they're very loyal to Drake. He put that city on. Tons of people wouldn't go out to that show either way, but SZA also has a big following, and she used to fuck with Drake. So I really think off the strength of her being on its bill, and obviously Kendrick being at a high point at that point, that people showed up. A lot of people don't care about the fucking beef; they just want to hear good music,
right.
right? And
For
yeah,
sure.
so yeah, L.A. obviously both ends, good music, beef, whatever. But the other tour dates, it took them up till
The day of.
day of the show to actually sell out some of those venues or get close, because it's like no everybody was hesitant to spend X amount of dollars, so ticket prices from resellers dropped, all that type of stuff to more reasonable prices. So yeah, it eventually sold out. Drake's arena shows, where he does sometimes 3 shows in one city a night, which equals a stadium, sell out instantly. Okay, that's the difference here. And I don't look. I'm not here to. This is all semantics. If Drake wanted to do a
Yes.
stadium tour, if he wanted to do a stadium tour, he could probably sell out 2 nights at a stadium, but it's more expensive. It's more because you got to think concessions. It's a bigger outdoor venue. You need more staff and all that stuff. So ticket prices are going to be higher, regardless of what you say. Ticket prices are going to be higher. Arenas, you could get seats up in the top for like 30-40 bucks. Pretty cheap. You won't see much in the state. I mean, now they have like the big screens and stuff. I went to see Wu-Tang. I had really good seats. Paid $400 for them, but I was nowhere near the floor. But I was comfortable enough to see, sweat on Method Man's face, pause or whatever. Like, like when I saw them, you could kind of see that they're humans in there and they were not little ants or whatever. But you have like arena tour. I mean, stadium tours, you don't get that luxury of being able to see everything all the way up in the nosebleeds and stuff, and sometimes it's outdoorsy and all that stuff, whatever. So you have to like recognize all those factors when thinking about that. But no, I'm digressing. We're talking about like streaming and whatever. So the evolution of where we're at now. So,
well, you can't forget the ringtones too, man.
ringtones. Yeah,
That's another thing. Like cats forget
much money they
Soldier
made.
Boy made his first $1 million off a ringtone.
You know how much money labels made off of that shit though?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's
Dog.
just easy little add-on and at
You know what that
scale.
evolved from? The two-way pagers. So there were
Right,
cats.
right.
Shout out to DJ Ev. So he was DJ Ev, this guy from Long Island. I know him. He is the pioneer of the custom two-way pager ringtone. He did custom two-way pagers. He used to literally play because they were all tones, like musical notes. So he learned how to do that, program some shit. He used to make remixes on his mixtape for the joints, and then he'd sell the two-way page. Bro, when I had my two-way pager, man, I went on there. I bought he used to charge $6 a two-way pager tone. $6. And he was killing it. Now, mind you, I think with the ringtones, for with the Nextels and all that shit, what were those? Yeah. How much did they cost? I don't even remember. They were charging.
They were like $1. They were like
you think $1? I swear they were like $4 or $5 some cases when they first came out.
They started high, but by the time I got my Nextel chirp, which is I think 2004, 2005.
Yeah, they were still pretty high back then. I think they were still like $5 because that's when it really started.
Like $5.
Maybe.
And then by 2007, they were like,
this is part of the thing. Yeah, because people stopped doing, and then you get to emulate. Like I never bought a ringtone. Maybe I did. I don't remember, but I do know that I used to make my own ringtones because the phones became like if you had iTunes on your phone, you could turn at some point with the iPhone.
That's right.
Yeah, you could turn it into a ringtone or upload your own versions. Man, I had when my Dark Beautiful Twisted Mind came out, that song you had with Rick Ross on there, I forgot the name of it, but
Devil in
a Blue Chest. Yeah. Red dress, blue. With that part where he's like Satan, Satan, Satan. I had that as my ringtone forever. I was just like, I love that part of the song. I thought it was funny. And then every time my phone rang, it would say that. But then I'm like, at that point, I'm like 29 years old. I'm like, all right, I don't. And then just go back to the regular old Nokia ringtone or whatever it was. But we came through quite a time in music from analog to digital, and now it's kind of working in reverse or coexisting in the best way possible, where the analog is how you actually touch the artist in a different way, like creatively, because kids love vinyl now. Kids love the nostalgia. They love playing records. They like looking at the artwork and taking in the music like we did when we were kids. It's part of the, maybe they're digging through their parents' old CDs and looking at shit because now they love Wu-Tang. Like when I went to Wu-Tang's farewell tour, bro, the house was full of young kids and old people, right? There was a lot of old people, a lot of gray in their beards, and a lot of young kids who just appreciate the art form and the history and are loving the music just the same as their moms and dads. So it's sort of like how the Beatles and Rolling Stones evolved into, that era of that classic music. Hip hop, people forget hip hop music is not that old. It's like 50 years old, right? So it's not as old as rock and roll or country music and all these other genres that are well established in the United States. And we're going into our golden age, not golden age, twilight, as a senior heading into senior citizenship, right, with our artists. So KRS-One, all these guys, I mean, some of them are already senior citizens, but they're in their late 60s or in the late 50s, 60s, right? People passing away, all that type of stuff. So the nostalgia for us in my generation, your generation, for this music is becoming more, and then these artists still putting out records makes a whole new generation appreciate them just the same. Not in the same way we did. I don't know if I could listen to a new Nas album without having a moment behind. There's no moment, but my moments now are like surrounded by worrying about ASAP Rocky or whoever or whatever. Like I just got an email like from them about that, but I'm sitting here like thinking about this other artist or Tekashi 6ix9ine, some content that he's making or whatever, and I'm looking at like that, and then trying to make a moment out of this new Nas album where my brain is just flooded with other media. So I guess that's something that happens as you get older. Like, do you appreciate a new album from your favorite artist?
No.
Me neither.
Nope. Because the problem is we're so consumed with other type of media. If the music doesn't find its way into that media, it's like on its own island. It's
Yeah.
like you got to go. It's like that's why I stopped smoking cigarettes. I hated having to go outside. I don't want to have to go outside to smoke cigarettes. So if I got to go outside, I'm just gonna stop smoking cigarettes. So it's the
Mm,
same. It's the same thing. Now I'm gonna keep smoking cigarettes. I can smoke in the house. So but so if the music is not finding its way to the place that I'm standing today,
yeah.
whatever I'm consuming today, with its educational content, I'm always constantly checking up on Facebook ad strategies and the updates with the algorithm but that's what I'm looking at. So that music ain't finding its way into what I'm consuming for my daily activities. It's almost I don't have a moment at 10 o'clock at night where it's like, all right, now I listen to the music today.
Yeah.
Whatever
You
I
don't
want
have
to
time.
listen to.
I'm
I don't
hardly in
have
my
that time.
car. I'm never in my car. I'm not, and even then, like, because podcasts are a thing now. Watching YouTube is a thing now. All these are things you could watch on your phone or listen to on your phone. I'm more interested in information than I am in being entertained, right?
That's right.
And entertainment, even educational stuff, it's called like edutainment. It's all educational in the sense now. You go on YouTube, there's people who are talking about real shit and entertaining you, talking about finance, talking about music
That's right.
business, talking about marketing and all this stuff, and it entertains you. Having conversations with famous people or people within certain industries or professions that have insight. You want to hear that. We're not easily entertained anymore by just a laugh track on a sitcom, right?
Yeah.
And bro, now the way they crank out content is not good anymore. Every movie is a rehashed version of another movie. Every TV show. If I ever see another show, everybody's mad at Chris. What are those shows like? All of them are named.
Yeah.
Why
Everybody
everybody
hates
hates Chris?
everybody
Everybody
because
hates that.
Raymond was the first one, right? Everybody hates
Dog.
Raymond was the first one.
Then Chris Rock had one, and then why? Somebody needs to explain to me in the comments, please, if you're still listening. Why the fuck? And I'll look it up myself at some point if I remember. Why the fuck was it like 9 shows named Everybody Hates Somebody?
Right. Or everybody this or yes. And there's
Pretty much the same premise to
also.
all those shows.
Mhm.
Single individual, man or woman, where they don't hate the person. It's just that person just has the darndest of luck and doesn't always have things go their way or whatever. What happened to shit like Friends and Seinfeld, The Cosby Show, shows where you can tune in and
Some
laugh
type of
and they
yeah.
connect. They're connecting with these
Right.
characters. Jerry Seinfeld, Larry David, like Curb Your Enthusiasm is my favorite show of all time. I blueprint my life around the way Larry David lives, bro. He doesn't give a fuck. He does not give a fuck. And he just like he's got it made. He looks at life in a very particular way that, you either love him or hate him. And I look at that, I'm like, you're with me or you're not, right? Not necessarily like, like whatever. I'll always be able to be good on my own. And he's multimillionaire. I'm doing okay. But I always look at it from the fact, like, if I had that much freedom, that much whatever, I want to be just like that. Not necessarily like, an old Jewish guy walking around Hollywood, pissing off everybody, but it's having that freedom to just kind of say and do what you want and kind of being a deep thinker at the same time into like the nuances of why things happen. Like, why is it when you put your headphones on, one side's always crooked like this all the time? Why can't we ever get them straight? Like, shit like that becomes a whole episode of the fucking show. And then you think about it, bro, these things are things that we think of or we, reenact in life that, like you fiddling with the microphone earlier. Like, why can I get the microphone? And then it turns into a thing, your fucking microphone explodes and you're like pissed and all of a sudden it messes up the podcast. Like shit like that is how life is nowadays. It's crazy. but whatever. It's,
That's a
and
good
they
point,
don't
bro.
entertain
That's a
us,
good point.
bro. They don't entertain like they used to. Like, there's nothing good in media right now besides the news, because the news is like, fucking Trump is a great entertainer, bro. He's out here killing people, fucking, giving has this cast of clowns in his fucking administration that are making everything fun to watch. Not fun, but but at some point, it's all for entertainment at the end of the day, and then when it becomes real, it's going to become real, but. That's the only thing nowadays I think that people kind of are all attached to, in a sense, where they could be like rage watching, love watching, or kind of like just trying to stay informed or impartial about it. And news media is making so much money because of that. They're still pumping out ads, they're still pumping out the content. That brings us into this. Like, I didn't look. Mikey, thank you for all the topics you sent through. I think we're only
Yes.
going to cover like 2 of them. Burner accounts. All right, like I'll put this on the screen real quick because I'm not going to say the name of the company, but we recently fiddled around with burner accounts. All right, burner pages, volume posting, inside music's hottest new TikTok marketing strategy. This is from August of this year. Okay, so guys, all the marketers out there, independent or not, and Octavian, you ran this campaign. I'm not going to say the name of the artist or anything, or artists that we worked with. I was skeptical about these things because when essentially burner accounts is companies that set up AI accounts that just make slop content, and the slop content is so bad. I mean, dog, when I looked at some of the posts that this thing made for us, I was like, all they really did was just reuse and re-edit the same clips over and over again and post them on random pages. Okay? And apparently for some, look, music marketers have been using this thing for a good part of last year. We got onto it a little late because this is the thing that replaced clipping. Because clipping, as you can see, is a little more expensive because you have to work with people to actually edit the content and do all this thing. Now you have an AI literally just syncing bullshit to a bunch of different pages, and if the algorithm picks it up, it goes viral. And we saw a couple of hits on some of this stuff, and I was like, oh, okay. And that how much did it cost? Whatever, right? So we did our thing. We tried it. I think the best post did probably 200,000 views, 300,000 views.
I think it was like 1 million total, and one post was 200,000. The rest was 10,000.
Yeah, or zero. Some of them zero.
Or 500.
Or 500, zero. Yeah. So long story short, I'm not going to say disclose how much money was spent there, but it's quite a bit, and we could have probably done it better on our own. And again, the marketers were testing it. They had a success with one of their artists with it, where a post got a tag song on TikTok ended up getting over 40 million views. So there was a good, return on ad spend there. But it doesn't work for everything. Even when we talked to the guy on the phone, he was surprised that shit did so well. So that one campaign, and I'm like, what's the, you always inquire, like, what's the go forward? Like, I didn't know exactly what the service entailed. Now I know it's like bullshit, so I'm never going to use it again. But what's the ultimate goal here? Like, can you do, like, oh no, it's just going to keep growing up. Okay, everybody says that. Influencer says I'm going to keep making this type of content till I die because I'm making $200,000 a post now or whatever, and then they're bankrupt and poor. So I don't see this company. Yeah. So TikTok, let's just put it this way. If you're marketing your music on social media, don't worry about marketing your music on social media. Market yourself.
That's right.
Yes. Market yourself. Don't market your music. We stress that to a lot of our clients because, you are the talent. Your music is complementary to your talent. The reason why people gravitated towards you is because of your music. Now they want to get to know you. They want to know why I'm listening to this music. What was the thought process behind that song? What's the real life? Yes. Who are you dating? Who are you singing that song to? Why are you making this content? What did you eat for breakfast? What type of shoes are you wearing? What's your fashion sense? What type of shampoo do you use to get your hair like that? This is what people want to know if they're fans of yours. And if you say funny shit and can be witty at the same time and grow with them as an individual, then that's just icing on the cake. People do not care how many times your song was posted on TikTok and goes it doesn't go viral off of that, right? Now, like maybe during the pandemic, because bro, when you're forced to sit in your house and have nothing to do but entertain yourself by death scrolling through TikTok, and all you hear is Wiz Khalifa and Ty Dolla. What's that? The Wiz Khalifa and Ty Dolla $ign song? Baby, da, 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 da. Remember that shit? And the girls are smacking their asses by the pool. Yo, when I first got on TikTok, that's the only fucking thing I saw ever. So I'm seeing a bunch of young women, white girls mostly, slapping ass to the stupid song. And I didn't even know the song because I haven't listened to a Wiz Khalifa song since like 2015, okay, that I actually liked, right? So I'm like, this song's kind of dope. Added it on Spotify. I don't know how many times since then I've actually streamed the song on Spotify, and it probably comes up and I skip it after I hear the hook once. But he got his 0.0003 cents.
Right?
Yeah.
Conversion.
It's putting him up and higher in the charts. It was number one off an album that time that had been out for a year or two. Yeah. And it reinvigorated some songs. And it's still, mind you, TikTok still does that to this day. It reinvigorates old songs and puts them up there. And these music people analyze this. So like, how can we mimic that? You cannot. They control what they want to control. And it's based off of how creators engage with that music. How are they using it? The algorithms have figured out that, oh, okay, this is not normal. Why is this one person always talking about this artist? Or why is all of a sudden there's a spike in usages of this sound amongst the same group of people all the time, right? And they've noticed that and they fixed it. So now when you go on there and you pay for an influencer campaign, which, to be honest with you, and I'm telling you, this is the type of budgets we saw for certain songs that they thought were bubbling. 60 to 100K invested just on social media posts for one song. Now, that's the first round of budgeting. If it was good, they'd probably reinvest up to and over 50 to 100 more K in that just to get more influencers and push it over the edge. Once it hits those marketing needs that they have, they see stream volume go up, maybe, and all of that. Sometimes it flops, sometimes it doesn't. But in perpetuity, it does its thing because now you have a bunch of evergreen content on TikTok and all that. It may pop up one day and just start bubbling again. Who knows? And this is why this is not a scam. This is the way they make their money. This is why catalogs are being sold, right, Doc? And explain. I want you, because I talk too much. Explain why people sell their catalogs.
People sell their catalogs because ultimately it's all about the residual on it, right? At any moment, any of those records can get picked up. It can be put in sync. Like, obviously, we saw Stranger Things use the 2 Prince records in Stranger Things, and now those records, along with the rest of his catalog, is up at like 400% or something crazy. Because now that new generation now has more of an attachment to Prince for being in that final scene. I didn't even watch the Stranger Things premiere. I mean, the season premiere, but series premiere actually. But yeah, I see that all those kind of data points all over my timeline. But that is the importance of the catalog. It's already made back. Whenever it was made back, people then sell the rights to that. Somebody else gets control of that. They can use that to create another moment. Now, where it lives in the social media era is once it got that boost originally, let's say that 100K of influencers kind of got to move in, throw another 50K into it and move it a little bit more, but then it dies down. At any moment, to your point, now there's so much evergreen content out there, it could get another second win. I just saw something on TikTok the other day that got a second win or a third win, some record from 2014. I can't remember what it was. It was a bunch of new videos now populating with this song, and it's just another generation of people finding that song that probably never knew it existed, and it's popping again. So now those residuals are running back again into that catalog. The publishing is running again, the mechanicals are running again, the royalties are running again, and now it's a whole other revenue stream that never had to be, money didn't have to be injected again. It was already injected the first time, and it lives in the atmosphere until it gets its second win, whether organically or somebody makes a strategic strategy to get it done, but it usually never costs as much as it cost the first time. And that's the value of the catalog.
Yeah. And then my question was, why are artists, big artists, leasing or even selling their catalogs? Well, why do you think that
it's too slow? That recoupment process is too slow.
Yes.
Why would I wait? Why would I wait 5 to 10 years for for X amount of money when these
When I
guys
get it all
they
up
have the
front.
patience game, right? They have the patience. They have the money to withstand and endure the 10, 15 years that it takes to collect on that. But they're going to give you a fraction of what it's worth today. So if it's worth 10 million or 20 million over the next 10 years, they'll give you 8 million, 5 million. Now, they'll get that profit just by being patient.
Yeah, and also it's like investing in fucking Pokemon cards. It's you have to look at the like the residual gains from it, but also like what's genius about like these investment firms, right? They're willing to take a risk on where entertainment and taste is going, and the way they can move markets is easy. They have marketing companies and the machines behind them already, so they can say, okay, we feel like making. I'll use T-Pain because I just saw him talk about him selling Office Publishing. We want to make T-Pain cool again. They hit up TikTok. Let's start pushing more of this T-Pain shit. We'll work with you to whatever. Spend X amount on ads and whatever, and we could push it again. And then exactly what happened with Stranger Things. Placement, licensing, movies, all that shit. Sync licensing, all that. So T-Pain, I saw he was on Shannon Sharp recently, or was it recently? I don't know. So one of these things. He was talking to some podcast. I saw like a documentary about it when they used the clip from this podcast. It was the Shannon Sharp one. He said he had sold, he didn't say the number, but he said it would take him 100 years to get back all the money that they gave him if he just raw dogged the publishing and just said, I'm going to take my cut. Like if he just raw dogged it and just collected a check every month. Now, mind you, T-Pain is easily making over 6 figures plus every quarter on publishing.
Yes,
easily.
Absolutely.
Now, if he's saying he's going to take that for him to do what do that, what I mean, it would take him 100 years. I think it was bullshit when he said 100 years to make that money back. Then there's something there. I'm thinking by 10 to 20 years, but I'm assuming he got in the hundreds of millions of dollars or close to $100 million for his catalog, right?
He just bought a private jet, so he got at least a hundball.
Yeah, and now that he's a little more financially literate, he's doing the right things, and he's probably just living off his streaming money, his touring, because he's popping again as a personality. Remember, T-Pain not only made music, he was a personality, and he's entertaining. Dude, whenever you got I don't watch his streams and stuff, but when I did see him do interviews, even seeing him do interviews today, he's a funny motherfucker, right? And he does his thing, and his music, bro, man, anything from 05 to 2011, maybe, bro, everything, bro. Everything. I don't care. Forget, it got to the point where Jay-Z was like, there's too much of this shit out here. And it's funny. When I remember that, and everybody thought he dissed them and stuff, and he wasn't really dissing them because he said, your sound is just so good. I'm tired of hearing it, but I still love it. And you do your sound. We don't need Kanye and he was really dissing Kanye, Lil Wayne, all these people that were using it.
That's who was really dissing. Really dissing Wayne.
Well, I mean, yeah,
for sure.
Kanye was auto-tuning the fuck out. Nigga. I was like, yeah. So do your homework, kids. Like, when you get to certain levels of success, man, sometimes those tough decisions need to be made where you have to say, like, I have to do X, Y, and Z to not to stay afloat, but to guarantee my financial future and the legacy of my music remains. Because if you think about it, there are artists that were huge in their time, like in the 80s and 90s and whatnot, and they're just lost in the sauce because they decided, okay, I'm just going to, maybe they have their publishing, maybe they don't, whatever. But now with the way things are structured, even Justin Bieber sold his catalog. Like, you can always make more music, right? If you're still relevant. Like, Justin Bieber just put out an album, right? And I'm sure he owns that. But he sold his catalog. Future, everything moving forward, he can make money off of, but he cashed out $100 million on his catalog, right? And whatever these people do helps you. It's marketing for you. The more, if they say, okay, it's time for us to activate, March Madness, and we're going to put it in, it's a March Madness theme song for the NCAA basketball season. Okay, cool. Now everybody's hearing this Future song. What is that? Oh, it's some guy named Future. Oh, the guy that you work with Drake that slept with his girl. Oh, okay, cool. Let's go. Let's go ahead and that shit. And then all of a sudden your old music, your new music's popping that you own, right? And then it just puts you in, and it keeps you going. You don't have to worry about selling the song to a music soundtrack or whatever. These companies do it for you. Like that's what I in this go. Let's pivot. Let's forget. Mike, thank you again for doing all this research. I think we're done.
Thanks, Mike.
Let's pivot all the way to Dame Dash, and I don't want to dwell too much on the Jimmy Jones drama, and we'll close on this because I really want to hear your perspective, and talk about the Jimmy Jones thing. The be your own boss shit,
yes,
really fucked up a whole generation of niggas, yo, because I'm my own boss, but I still rely on money from other people to do the things that I need to do, right? And look, the bad things I learned from Dame Dash is the spending too much money on this, that, and the third. Bro, I ain't gonna lie to you. I told you about like what I've done, and more recently what I'm trying to get out of, which is not. Look, luckily I've set myself up in a way where I can get out of those things and not look backwards and be like, oh, I fucked up. But I fucked up at the same time, and you got to think like, hey. What Damon, what he was saying, he was just like, oh yeah, spending, living bottles of Moe and fucking Armadale and Grey Goose and pouring it on the girls in the video and doing this. And look at him, man. I seen him on some interview show when he was doing that interview and he had like a stain on his suit. I don't know if that was the design or whatever. I was like, why has he got like a big ass stain on the jacket? Like, what are you doing, bro? Jimmy Jones out here, same thing, bro, wearing fucking torn up tight denim, trying to be a fashion icon and shit. Like y'all are, and then you're dissing each other. You're trying to hop on the wave that Tekashi 6ix9ine and these younger guys are on with the dissing each other back and forth for not necessarily for show. Like some people, get beat up or whatever, but like it's a wave. You're old motherfuckers. Nobody like we laugh at it. I think it's hilarious that these guys are out here playing like they're really beefing because they're not. Over what? I don't know. And I don't know. What? I mean, I pulled up a video clip, or I haven't paid attention to this shit. But what's your thoughts?
So, this is what I'll say about, especially about Dame. I agree with you in the aspect of Dame poisoned a lot of young cats in the beginning of what that would be their careers, and the delusion of not needing somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
That's delusional. And he also poisoned our minds into thinking that partnering with someone that's bigger than you to create more cash flow and opportunity into your organization was stupid. Even though that's what he did.
Yeah.
He went out, they built Rockefeller independently to a particular point where it could be worthy of an equitable partnership with someone else that could expand the brand.
Yes.
What's so wrong with that? I think maybe he learned from that experience. I think that's why he's never done anything like that. Everything else has been so small, even though it's his. But, my biggest saying is 20% of nothing is nothing.
Exactly.
So what does it matter if it's 100% yours when it's not worth anything because you didn't partner with anyone to make it bigger?
But you said, wait, you said that wrong. It's 100% of nothing's nothing. 100%. Yeah, you own something.
20% in the management field, 20%.
Oh, okay. You're in the management field.
But yes, in this case, 100% of nothing is nothing.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think.
I learned that again,
too. So fast forwarding to now, he is disgracing his legacy. We all knew his legacy was kind of shaky anyway because he was an asshole, but he still kind of was empowered by his like delusion of self, right? And like the way that he would, but you start to realize like some of that's narcissism, right? Like even kind of this new thing he's going into it with Charlemagne about like kind of scrutinizing his deal with iHeart. And he even had the nerve to say, it seems as though anybody that beefs with him gets more opportunities, citing Jim Jones, citing Cam, citing 50, and citing Charlemagne. These guys have all gone after him, and by going after him, it somehow unlocks a mysterious doorway of qualification.
But doesn't he start the beef usually or talk some
Yeah,
shit about
yeah, he
them?
usually responds to something and not in kind because the 50 thing though that goes way back to him telling 50 $1 million want no money. So
That's some crazy shit. And mind you, look, I don't know even though Trump has been bought and sold as president for less than $1 million from some
yeah,
people
right.
right now. So, and having come across money like that in my time, and still, I don't shy away from it. Like, dude, I'm not wealthy by any means, but if somebody said to me $1 million, give it to me. Post tax, you gotta take taxes out. Give me, and I'll do something with it. But this man, that's delusional. That's crazy. Money's money, bro. Like, if we live in a system where money matters, and if you're not grabbing as many pennies as you can, even though they print money like crazy, $1 million to somebody who didn't have $1 million yesterday is no small amount of money, right? And some say, yeah, the wealthiest people in the world say that the hardest amount of money to make is your first meal, and it's true. That's when you're grinding the most. Now, me particularly, like, yeah, I got there, and then now it's like, how do you build on that? How do you do the things you need to do? So you have to figure, the toughest part is keeping it and growing it. Like, to me, right? Because of stupid shit that I listen to from these guys, but also it's part of being black, I think, too. Like, that whole, like, always wanting, I mean, it's a mentality, but I think it's inbred in black people because of slavery and all that. Like, once we were free people, we wanted to feel good and look good and all that, right? So you have these eras in black culture where that mattered amongst the culture, and other people, regular people, would look at, like regular white people, middle class, lower middle class, would look at it like it's weird. Like, oh, why don't you just do it? But black people just want to show it because we don't. Like, they was on the field, in the fields, like right. If you was a slave, and all of a sudden,
Right.
oh, now I could make some money and do this, and that's what made Black Wall Street and all this stuff, the ambition. And look, Dame, all of us coming from, like, and I'm not foundational Black American, but I lived around and got taught by the best in, and I can see where his head is at, but also the system isn't built for black people to win, period. And the few that have won are working within that system to get what they need and then leverage that into power play opportunities that help black culture in general. Dame, for the most part, has been a great help to black culture, but his impact now is so negative on black culture that he needs to take a step back and say, hey, I'm doing these things. Yes, you're ahead of the curve. You were ahead on doing streaming. You were ahead on the TV station, the this, that, and the third. But now you're playing the same game that no-name rappers are doing just to get on, right? And some of your cohorts are like Jimmy Jones and some other old heads trying to do things. And it's a shame because you guys are look, I respect Jim Jones, bro. Look, the guy who cannot rap out of the whole group had one of the biggest records in the whole group.
Yeah.
Like,
I got a lot of respect for Jim Jones. A lot of respect.
Put out arguably, to me, two borderline classic albums for that era, right? Mind you, that might not be the best, but bro, in that era of two tracking songs and getting Trey Songz to do a hook, like, this motherfucker was top notch in that era. Even though his song, like, he had the one song, but he got 3 or 4 good albums after the fact out of that. Got songs with all the biggest names in the game. Jay-Z hopped on an unsolicited remix of his best record. Like, people don't understand the impact that man actually had in a sense, and keeping Dipset relevant for another 5-6 years. Because Cam was putting out a bunch of mixtapes, and a couple of them albums wasn't popping. Jimmy kept it going until at least mid 2010s, right? Or around there, right? He was still putting out good records.
Yeah, and
Cam,
even recently, he released maybe not his last project, but the project before that, he had some hits on that joint and some of the best rapping probably of all that year.
Yeah.
I mean, Jimmy is,
So what?
I wish that they would work with each other. There's not enough. They're embarrassing when they're beefing. They're embarrassing.
Well,
All of them.
it's a playbook. The only one that looks good in this is Cam, because
It's
Cam
Cam.
don't give a fuck. He's sitting there like, fuck these niggas. This is stupid. This is what they do. He's calling it out for what it is. We're all gonna hug and kiss when you see each other and all this other stuff. But like, it's stupid. We're playing games right now, and they're just dumb. Him and Mace are like, 8-figure, 9-figure deals. Wait, 9 figures. 8 million, whatever. 8-figure deals for podcasts. Having 8 for podcast stuff. He's got his own thing going. They just signed. He's doing his own thing. He can make music whenever the fuck he wants to, but he's chilling. He's got like fucking energy drinks and fucking dick pills, everything going for him. Yeah. Mace might open up a motherfucking church again and be like, yo, I could do this again and run it back. Like, these guys are really focused on making it happen, creating opportunity for everyone in their circle and in and around them. Cam's still putting on the Dipset dudes, right? Everybody's still in their shit. But why Jewels and Jimmy, the main people, so not disloyal, but like so disrespectful to the fact that this is the man that put you on? And whatever beefs that they have, and then whatever shit that they talk, I don't know about Jewels. Jewels seems to be caught up in some in-between shit. He'll find his way, but like Freaky Zeke's still there, but that's like Cam, like him and Cam, like, but Freaky never, he was always trying to keep it together and they never could. And then seeing that shit, man, back when I was in New York, 2003, 2004, them niggas ran that shit, bro. Absolutely. They go up in that Universal office, bro. Pink Range Rovers outside, all types of shit. I was like, damn, these guys are doing it, right? And obviously Jay-Z, Rockefeller, all of them. And Dame, I'm just so disappointed in my OG, man. Like, I remember wanting to be like him in college, yo. We used to go to them pool parties and try to play that, we wouldn't maybe throw some Pepsi on a girl or something, like whatever. We didn't have no champagne, but 2-liter of Pepsi. No, I'm joking. But we always were like, yo, them niggas got it, like Jay, Dame, and all that shit. Big Pimpin', and we used to do the dances and all that stuff. We gonna get that money. This is what we're gonna do, and I used to think like that. And to this day, it still motivates me. But I look at this man being a pioneer, and he's sitting here like I feel like he's like dying in front of me, man. Like like not physically, but more so like. The legacy, yeah, like that my image of him is totally different than it was 20 years ago, right? And 20 plus years ago at this point. And it's sad because him and Jay were my role models. And like, I like Jay-Z still. I don't particularly care for like some of the business moves because he could do things a little bit better, but I think he's on another level, like messing with things that are, now it's investments and all this type of stuff. The branding stuff is out of there. He's not really in a lot of quote unquote entertainment ventures that are meaningful to the culture.
Right.
But Dame, man, just trying to the act of trying to stay relevant for him is how he makes his money now. And
right. Yeah, right. That's sad.
To me, it's sad. Yeah, if you're going to be a social media personality, do shit, but he's like peddling cheap shit. I don't know. I don't know. I just can't get with it. I do respect it, and people take what he says with a grain of salt, because at the end of the day, Dame's always going to be a pioneer in this. He's literally the blueprint for what New York hip hop, the pinnacle of New York hip hop, right? And he created it believing in one, if not the best talent of a whole generation. That when nobody believed in Jay, because I used to be a Jay fan when I was in, like middle school, whatever the fuck I was in, and nobody like that. You're like rapping fat. What is this motherfucker? You sound like Das Effects. You sound like whoever. And the next thing you know, In My Lifetime comes out, people are like, oh shit. And then Ain't No Nigga popped, and they're like, oh shit. And then they started paying attention. And then Biggie passes, and then all of a sudden, King of New York. And he took that from one album to the next to the next to the next. Man, that Jay-Z run. You was around. You was a youngin' back then, so you probably, I don't know if you was listening to that much hardcore hip-hop. But
Nas and Mobb Deep, bro. I was Queens.
Oh, you was a Queensy?
Core Mega listening to that.
Oh, you was that? That's Sean. Sean was like that, too.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? That's what I was listening to for sure back then. But I did here's the thing. I never purchased a Jay-Z album until the Dynasty. I never purchased it.
Really?
A lot of my friends, my cousins played a lot of his stuff. But I owned Nas albums. I owned Mobb Deep albums. You know what I'm saying? Um, we like to joke about a lot of that stuff, like the Ali Vegas and all
Ali
those
Vegas.
guys. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if you were from Queens, you know the
You remember
Lost
A Plus?
Boys, all that stuff.
You remember A Plus?
Yeah,
he was from
remember
Queens, I
A+?
think. Yeah. I forgot the name of
remember
the song. I love that.
pretty much any rapper. I mean, even into the Murder Inc. stuff, right? The Black Child, the Freaky Todd. I mean, the Cadillac Todd, the Ja Rule stuff, the Black. What do you say, Black Child?
Remember that two-way pager song? Oh, we talked about
Yeah,
this.
bro, that went crazy. That Freaky Todd's biggest joint, bro.
It's a good record.
I mean, not Freaky Todd, Cadillac Todd.
Whatever.
But so if you were from Queens, even the G Unit stuff, right? Like even the old 50 stuff, the Hot Rob and the Ghetto Quran and all that.
Yep.
I didn't really get into them other rappers until I became like maybe 12, 13. And I was like, okay, Jay-Z, okay. I bought the Dynasty. I liked it. It wasn't his best album according to the critics, but there were a couple joints on there for sure.
Dynasty was supposed to be a compilation record, and then
Yeah, then they made it. It was supposed to be a Rockefeller joint. But, again, and I started paying attention then, and that's when Nas and Jay-Z, the beat turned up at that point, right? And that's when Dipset got involved, and that's when, the D Block and the Rough Riders and,
2001, 2002 was just crazy times, man.
It was crazy, man. And then that's crazy right off the DMX's back-to-back run in 99.
Yeah, DMX, was that 9? No, it was 98. He put out back-to-back, yeah. 98. And in 99, he put out that album, and Locks just got off of Bad Boy, went to Def Jam.
I got up Bad Boy.
No, they're in the scope. They went to Interscope, my bad. It was Interscope,
Eve was dropping.
Eve was on Interscope, too, yep. Eve, yep.
And then that's when Eve went to the first Aftermath with Busta, Rakim, Eve, Focus, Scott Storch.
Focus. Oh, I forgot about Focus.
Yeah, Focus.
Oh. Stat Quo.
Stat Quo. That's right, Atlanta. But Stat Quo ended up managing Lil Xan. He was Lil Xan's manager.
Who the fuck is Lil Xan?
Oh, Lil Xan is just one of the little no jumper, little SoundCloud rappers. But Stat Quo was his manager. I was like, holy shit. Stat Quo, dog. Cats don't have no idea.
Yeah, bro. Like that era, bro. And we grew up in an interesting time. I mean, kids are going to talk about when Uzi Vert and all these guys came off of SoundCloud or wherever the fuck they came from. But bro, they wasn't out like this is what old people like us say. It wasn't outside though. They was not outside. No. And this is that era, bro. Like, and then look, a lot of them kids grew up on some of that music, because these kids, those guys are in their late 20s, early 30s now, right? No. I'm talking about like the Uzi Verts and all them. They were in there. I mean, they were when they came out, they were teenagers. Now they're in their 30s. Like, it's crazy. Yeah. We're talking 10, 15 years ago. Some of these people started popping. But like now we have a whole, like Drake and all these people came from that generation as well. I my cutoff is at Drake and Kid Cudi and them. When that freshman class that wasn't on the freshman cover came out, right? They wasn't on the cover that year, right? It was Nicki wasn't on the cover,
but they got picked. So Big Sean. So
I'm looking it up right now.
With Nipsey for Sean. I think the actual cover was for Sean.
Oh, Donis.
Big Sean. Donis, yeah, my man Donis. Ayo, Donis is like the sneaker guy. Now he's been a sneaker guy for a long time. Shout out Donis. But that's like all that XV, Sean, Chris, all those guys that era.
Oh my God, bro!
That blog era, man.
That was the first. That was the first iteration of the blog era, and that was such a bad. Charles Hamilton. Okay, look, I have the list right here. I'm gonna put on the screen. Asher Roth, yeah. So yeah, B.O.B. Yep, it popped up right there. B.O.B. had a record, but he's like a fucking like conspiracy rapper now or some shit. Asher Roth, yeah. Wale was on the cover. Wale, Charles Hamilton. Ace Hood, oh my God, Currency, Kid Cudi, all right, Corey Guns. How did Corey Guns? Wait, pause. This is 2009. Corey Guns has been doing records since 05. And he got on the cover 4 or 5 years after he was popping on mixtapes. Blue. Very weird choice.
Blue and Exile. Yeah.
Blue and
Blue
Exile.
and
Yep.
Exile. They
Mickey.
had to get this
This guy.
hip-hop.
Him and Drake did a record that you guys hopped on.
Yeah, we hopped on it. That's
with
right.
Travie McCoy.
Right. Travie McCoy. Yeah, that's
yeah,
right.
And that's it. Like that
Shout
cover.
out to the district. Yeah.
Yep. So that cover, bro, is probably like, look, honestly, this cover, any other year in hip hop would have been a solid, like, oh shit. The only person who's a flop here probably Mickey Fax, Corey Guns. I say Ace Hood did his thing for a little bit.
Yeah, Ace Hood. Yeah.
Yeah, Asher Roth kind of just he could have kept going. Blue, yeah, they have their following. I don't know. I never listened to that shit, so I don't know. Currency,
Backpack rappers like Jurassic 5 and shit like that.
Jurassic 5. Wale, for some reason, he's still making music. I don't know. Asher Roth stopped making music. B.O.B. is out there still, but he had phenomenal like 2 or 3 records I think that popped off heavy. Sure. He put on they launched Bruno Mars off of him, right? Like Bruno Mars' first record, Beautiful Girls all over the band. Anyway, bro, like that and you got to think, bro, like the people that did not make the cover are way more famous.
But they're still popping too. Yeah, the guys that didn't make the cover around that time was
Kid Cudi is still Kid Cudi's lit as fuck when he wants to put out records. But like that era is where I stopped. 2009, 2010. That's when I stopped kind of like being in tune with all the music that was around me, because the ultimate artists that I was listening to that were not in the mainstream, all of a sudden, like Nicki on her mixtapes, Drake, obviously the association working with them and him and whoever. Wait, XV? Was it XV on the cover?
Hell no, but shout out XV though.
Okay. Okay, I thought Adonis was on the cover too for some reason. I don't know, but
Adonis I think is on a cover. I don't know. Was he not on a cover? I feel like he is.
I thought he was on this freshman cover. I remember. No, this might be bullshit. This list.
Maybe it's a year later. It could be a year later or a year before.
Every X-Men.
I feel like Adonis, like bro, shout out Adonis, shout out Atlanta, because Adonis reminded me of Saha, and you know, shout out Saha. You know what I'm saying? You know, I mean, I don't know, man. Like, there's so many rappers that are just better than the rappers that are out now, as far as like the newer guys. Like back then, the blog era just had such a good way of bringing out the best in everyone. I don't remember any whack rappers. Even if I may have considered them whack, they still had their own following. John Connor, you know, all those guys, man. Like Laws.
Yeah, these are the people they just listed on the cover. All right, so. It was set freshman 2009 preview. They don't have the actual list here. That's kind of weird. Oh no, there's Ace Hood, Currency, Cudi, Mickey Fax, Corey Guns. All right, no, maybe that was 2010. Okay, maybe. Oh no, maybe it was a 2010 cover that Drake was supposed to be on.
Yeah, he turned it down.
Yeah, not 2009, because that So Far Gone came out in 2009, so I was mistaken.
But then Complex did another article with Wale, Kid Cudi, and Drake.
Yeah. So I'm looking here. So let me show you this. So this is the 2010 cover. So we just misinformed the public, but whatever. Had Nipsey, Wiz, OJ the Juice Man, Big Sean, J-Rock, Fashawn, Donis, Pill.
Fashawn. So so it's Donis and Fashawn.
Pill.
Oh, shout out Pill, man.
He had this record that was crazy. Wasn't he from South Carolina? I thought he was from South Carolina somewhere.
Yeah, I think he's from South Carolina. I don't know why I thought he's from Florida, but he is from South Carolina.
Maybe he's somewhere. Are you sure? Or are you just saying that?
I don't know. I think he is though.
I'm looking it up. I don't want to.
There's something about Florida. I don't know why. Is it because I think
it might have been
signed to Maybach?
Was he signed to Maybach?
He was. Yeah, Pill was under Maybach.
No, he's from Atlanta.
From Atlanta. Okay, so
yeah, he was on Maybach. Yeah. I thought you were in South Carolina. That's that guy that used to write for Cardi B.
Partisan Fontaine.
Partisan. Yeah, I'm thinking I got them mixed up for some reason. Yeah, Partisan. Shout out to him too.
Shout out for Sean. When I was in Fresno, I was finishing my college years at Fresno State. For Sean and Planet Asia had Fresno on lock.
Mm-hmm.
On lock. So shout out Fresno. Shout out for Sean. Real Grizzly.
Sci-Hi, Yellow Wolf, man, Freddie Gibbs, Mac Miller. Freddie Gibbs and Mac Miller both passed away. It's crazy. Kendrick
Freddie Gibbs
Lamar
did not pass
passed
away.
away. Oh, not Freddie Gibbs. Oh, I'm thinking about big dude from New York, Fred the Godson.
Fred the Godson.
yo,
Hey,
yo,
oh my
yo,
God.
Freddie Gibbs. My bad, dog.
Freddie
Sorry.
Gibbs is still into it right now with Benny the Butcher. He's
But
still
Fred the Godson is on this cover too. Fred the Godson is on the cover here. Yeah, he's on the cover.
Shout out Fred the Godson.
R.I.P. my brother.
Yeah,
Yeah, here he's in the back right here. That's him right here.
Yeah. He was like a new Jadakiss. He was like a new Jadakiss.
Yeah, he was
from the
part,
Bronx too, I believe,
he
right?
was part of that Dipset. I mean, not Dipset. What do they call it?
D-Block, right?
D-Block. Yeah, he was associated. He was with some other crew out there that I forgot the name of him, but he was associated with them. So we could look at this all day, man. It's crazy. Oh man, Iggy Azalea.
Iggy Azalea.
French Montana. This is my favorite cover because French is wearing a bear suit.
Wait, I love French Montana. Is Roscoe Dash there?
This is
yeah.
Oh, that dude with the eyes. Macklemore, Iggy Azalea, Roscoe Dash, Hobson.
Don Tripp. Shout out Don Tripp.
Danny Brown. Shout out to Danny Brown.
Danny Brown. Shout out Danny Brown.
Future's on here, man. Yo, XXL, I mean, 2012. Look, besides 2010s, like 2010, I think, going right back here, let's go back up to 2010 again, because this was the one where I think they missed the mark a lot, because I don't think in 2010, Pill, Donis, Fashawn should have been on that cover. That should have been Nicki, Drake, and somebody else.
So you think they got the years messed up, is what you're saying? They should have just swapped some years.
I think that, well, they turned it down because, you know why they didn't turn it down? Because I think they were supposed to be in 2009. So that you know what I'm saying? Like Cudi, because I don't know, when did they put this out? I don't remember.
I don't know. I'll be keeping up with that.
So Drake was the tail end of 2008 is when Drake was literally hot. And they dropped So Far Gone, I believe, in February of 2009. I remember. Yeah. So Drake, let me look at Drake, So Far Gone. I'm looking here. February 13th. Yep, I knew it. 2009. Because I remember, bro. I'm telling an industry story before, and I gotta go after right now. I remember right before it dropped, I was at this 2000, late 2000. He was still working on the records when he's living in hotels and shit. Back in Toronto, he calls me. He's like, "Yo," I was like, he's just trying to get his shit together and stuff like that. Talking about he's moving out of his spot where his mom's and he's getting a condo and whatever. Just calling to catch up with me. Hits me like, "Yo, I got a record that I want Nick to hop on. I got him, and Juicy J for the mixtape. Let's get it, right? To facilitate." So and he's telling me about all this shit. And like thinking back, yo, it's such a blur because that was probably one of the last real conversations I had with this guy where we kind of like we're talking about building and whatnot. And his forward vision for where he's at today was there. I know a lot of it's been tainted by fame, alcohol, drugs, whatever the fuck's going on. That's all celebrities. But like back then, what I admired about the Drizzy of old is that he was super focused on the mission at hand and understood where he wanted to be in his career. And the lack of, and this is the message to you artists now, if you want to be at those levels, your focus has to be laser precise. You have to be goal oriented and also think everything in your way has to get out of your way. Meaning, if you're not a benefit to the overall thing that I'm trying to do, get the fuck out of my way. And it took me a few years to kind of compute the mindset, but I get it. This is why you stopped working with that guy or this guy, right? Or not, you know what I mean? Not that you dropped off the face of the earth or you cut them off. It's that they did not fit the path you were on, right? And when the same thing I tell you guys, hey, content creation is the path I'm on, regardless if it's marketing and all that stuff. All this other shit is secondary to that. You're if you want to ride with me, you ride, and if you're not, I'm not mad at you, but be about your business. But the thing is, what I don't want, what could potentially happen is, and what I saw with this shit is that the few guys that got left behind, except for Nick, was talking that shit. Like, oh my God, he left me behind. He didn't need you because you wasn't a benefit to the whole thing. Nick benefited Drake in certain ways. But then when he didn't anymore, he didn't need him anymore because Nick wasn't necessarily a liability, but he wasn't a guy that he would willing to bring with him. And that's fair because they didn't have the same mindset. Nick had been doing it a lot longer than Drake at that point. So, and I'm not talking for Nick in any way, shape, or form here. I'm just saying that I see now, and I think we all have that understanding because Nick and I have had heart-to-hearts about this. We see now what we could have done better or he could have done better to get to the position he wanted to be in the music game or industry, right? And it's not necessarily on the coattails of Drake or whatever. Nick's carved his own path, and he's successful in his own path. And I think that's where destiny leads you. Drake is on his path and still admires what Nick does, doesn't necessarily have to associate himself with him to like fully or work with him fully or anything like that. But they were set on two different directions. Now Drake chose that direction and went to did more stuff with Nick rather than Lil Wayne and all these other people. He might have been on a different path. And now he's like at this point where it's like, doesn't matter no more. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So anyway, that freshman cover.
Good way to end it.
Good way to end it. Right. Didn't want to, there's a lot more stories like that and other things that we could talk about, but I appreciate you doing this. This is our longest episode ever, and talking about this stuff got me going. I need to shut the fuck up. We gotta let more people talk. It brings bro. You know how I could go on. Cut me off whenever if I keep running. But having these memories from the industry and talking about how it's done today, and crossing paths with all of these different things, man. There's so much we've seen, bro, and And you was young, man. You guys were teenagers, literally 16, 17, 18 years old back then. And I always say I'm proud of how everybody's evolved into grown men and doing their own things. But it's time to get that success and see where things can go. And look, teach the masses, give them the game. Give them the game.
That's right.
And how to do it right, and keep trying to do right by ourselves.
That's right, man. That's all you can do, man.
That's all you can do. All right, brother. I got to go because I have something to do and have to get there before 2:00, and it's almost 2. But thank you. Looking forward to doing another one. We might have Resold on. I'm going to try to get... When are we going to have Chaz?
Yeah. I'll call Chaz, man. We'll get Chaz on. We'll get Resold on and a couple more people. And if you're still listening, thank you for listening. And catch you guys on the next one. Huh?
All right, brother. All right. Peace.
All right, guys. Peace.